Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Horse Races Now podcast. We got another couple in-studio guests with me today. I have Joe Clabes, who's the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, I guess, president. Joe, is that right?
Executive director.
Executive director. And then Ben Franzini, who is a co-owner at Bluegrass Distillers. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
And what I'm going to do here, and my producer here maybe can get a shot here. We're going to talk about the Torpedo Anna bourbon bottle. It's going to be really cool. Ben's going to tell us all about it. And then the proceeds are going to go to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. So Joe's going to tell us all about that. But Joe, let's start with you here. Obviously, this is a cool initiative that you guys do, a much needed initiative. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund takes care of riders that have been injured in on-track accidents. Currently, we have 49 men and women on our rolls. We have a few in the pipeline under review right now for possible additions to those rolls. But we send them monthly benefits in the form of a cash stipend to help with whatever they want to use that money for. There are no restrictions on our contribution to them. We rely solely on contributions from donors, whether they be corporate, foundations, individuals. And we have currently we have no specific revenue stream within the industry that's designated for our purposes. So those contributions and initiatives like this bourbon bottle help make the whole thing work. We're an independent 501c3 charity.
Okay.
We are not affiliated with any other group, whether it be the Jockeys Guild or anything. We work closely with them on a number of things that were their synergies, but there's no requirement that our recipients be a member of any other organization or otherwise, any other condition. Just the fact that they've been injured permanently, and many are in a wheelchair in an on-track accident.
Got it.
It's an important need.
Now, Joe, can these jockeys come kind of from anywhere? Do they have to reside in a certain state? Do they have to have ridden in certain areas, or is it just anywhere?
North America.
Well, North America, so just anywhere in the North. So it's not like just Kentucky or.
No, it's
gotcha.
Across the nation. We have a few recipients that have chosen to go back to their home countries after their injuries.
Understood.
We send a few wire transfers each month.
Man, I mean, it seems like there should be something and you guys have been around since
2006.
So not really that long in the grand scheme of things. It really seems to me like this should be something that's a little bit more widely recognized, right?
Well, that's why I'm here today, hoping that your audience and will learn a little bit more about us and understand the good work we try to do.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about the requirements. So out of the 49 jockeys that you guys have currently, do you have to meet a certain amount of races, certain grades? I mean, do you have to be a certain level? How's that work?
No, we don't attach any of those sort of requirements. It's basically if you're a licensed jockey that was injured in a race or in training hours in the performance of your job, you'll be able to apply. There's certainly some might say, Social Security considers me disabled, but that's not. We have a little more stringent definition of disability. It's not just that they can't ride again.
Okay.
It's they're not able to do much of anything.
Yeah, understood. All right, we're going to get back to that, Joe. Ben, you are with, as I mentioned, Bluegrass Distillers, one of our co-owners. How'd you get into this?
Well, I've always loved bourbon. I grew up in Kentucky, and I worked as an engineer for most of my career. One of my good friends had started Bluegrass, and when he was at the point when he realized he needed to scale the business, he gave me a call one day and said, "Hey, would you want to help me out?" And that started an adventure.
Okay.
And here we are. So
that's pretty awesome, man. So talk to me about your brands, and maybe we can zoom here on the Elmwood brand as you do that. But there's a couple different brands you guys have, right?
Sure. So the Bluegrass Distillers core lines, we have a blue corn bourbon. It's all under Bluegrass Distillers, and we have a toasted oak bourbon. Those are two of our most well-known products. And those are all, sold out of our Midway, Kentucky distillery location. That's where we're distilling. That's where we're growing our own corns. And then Elkwood Reserve, which is the line that we're putting out the Torpedo Anna commemorative bottle under, is really our old and rare releases. So everything in that line is going to be over 8 years old, which for us is old and rare. So
yeah.
So this release is coming out under Elkwood Reserve. It's a 9-year-old single barrel release, and we're going to do a multiple single barrels for the Torpedo Anna.
So cool. All right, so let's get to that, Ben. And I may have misspoke. It's Elkwood Reserve.
Correct.
How did this come about as far as the Torpedo Anna bottle?
So, it's a good story. Like when we were building our distillery in Midway, Kentucky, it's been a construction site for a couple of years now, and one of the groups that was working with us doing a lot of the earthwork was a guy by the name of R.W. Hicks, and his wife Judy.
Oh, okay, Judy Hicks. Yeah, that's
Judy
a name
Hicks
we know well,
right? So he, of course, he's there every day. We're doing work, a lot of the earthwork there, and he had some ideas like, hey, what you guys ever thought about doing a Torpedo Anna release? And this is probably a year and a half ago at this point. So it's been a little while, and then. Long story short, one of my buddies is farm manager over at McPeak Farms, Alan Shell.
Yeah.
He started talking to me about it and sort of gained some traction. These types of projects, they need to get some momentum going to really take place.
Sure.
Anyway, and then another neighbor of ours was the Kentucky Derby Painter of the Year when Torpedo Anna won, and we're like, well, maybe she can do the label. So it all just came together, and finally, RW talked to Kenny and Judy talked to Kenny, and Kenny's like, yeah, let's do it. And so they came over a couple months ago at this point, right after Brian was injured, actually. And we rolled out some barrels and tasted some barrels, and they selected some that they thought would be a good place to start. And Kenny, recommended that the proceeds go to the Permanently Disabled Jockey Fund. And so that's sort of the way it came to fruition. And now we're actually bottling it this week, so it's going to be available October 31st.
Okay,
and I can share those links and everything. But
awesome.
It'll be available online and in our distillery in Midway, Kentucky.
How many bottles?
So we're starting with 3 single barrels. Each of those has about 140 bottles. So in all, what's that? 420 bottles.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a ton. It's very limited, but depending how it goes, we may go and select a few more.
Gotcha.
So,
well, you may see an empty chair here. We were expecting Brian Hernandez to join us today, but it looked like something came up and he couldn't make it. Joe, I want to ask you this question because we were going to ask Brian, but he just had a nasty spill. One that, quite honestly, when we first saw it happen, we all thought his career was done. Talk to me about the dangers of being a jockey, and it's the only sport in the world that an ambulance has to chase you while you're doing it, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, with somebody that deals with this day in and day out, the dangers of this sport is pretty crazy for the jockeys.
Right. The concussions alone exceed the NFL. It's a very dangerous sport, and falling off a horse, standing still. You could have
absolutely
a life-changing injury just from that. So imagine going 45 plus miles an hour in a crowd,
right? With
other horses in front and behind you.
Yeah. And like Brian, have the horses land on you and step on you.
Exactly. And every time I see a race where a rider comes unseated, your heart skips a beat because you just don't know. And, I think in some cases they're trained to lay there for a little bit until they make sure they're okay to get up. But in those moments, your heart sinks and it's a big swallow. But, as unfortunate as Brian's accident was, he was very fortunate compared to some of our guys. And it could happen to any of them. Someone like Brian understands that, one moment, one instance, could put him in that same situation. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ben, I guess when you found out that the proceeds were going to go to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, that's something you guys were probably all for.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, we're a Kentucky brand. We're in the heart of the bluegrass, horse country essentially. Actually, our mark on our bottle is a jockey.
Yeah, it's a cool little mark. Yeah,
it's been Jockey Silk from the beginning of our brand, and it's just a representation of our Kentucky heritage and that determination it takes. to be a jockey. And so when it all came together, it just seemed like it was fate. And when Kenny got on board and came out and tasted some bourbon with us, it just felt right.
Now, what's this going to taste like?
So this is a 78-13-9 mash bill, so 13% rye. It's 9 years old, so it's been in the barrel for a good amount of time, so you're going to get a lot of caramel notes on it. You can see by the color, maybe you can see on the camera, I'm not quite sure, but it's a dark bourbon.
It is
so
a
you
dark
can see
bourbon.
that it's absorbed a lot of that barrel flavor and barrel color, and you're gonna. So for me, it's a great fall bourbon. This time of year it starts to cool off a little, and you get that real robust caramel vanilla flavor from the bourbon. It's delicious.
Now, I know the barrel is a big deal of this. And you just mentioned it a couple of times, how it kind of brings that flavor. How do you guys make your barrels?
So we source our new oak barrels, which are required for bourbon, from half a dozen or more cooperages around the country.
Got it.
And this is a char level 3 char level on this barrel. So it's char level 4 is the highest level of charring, and so it's gonna impart a lot of that color and that rich flavor earlier on in the maturation process.
They make your heart race, they make your heart break, then they do it all over again. At Hallway Feeds, we're devoted to improving nutrition for these beautiful, exhilarating creatures. Watching them at their peak is an experience like no other, which is why we say, when you feed Hallway, the race is in the bag.
Now, you just created you guys just built a new, I'm assuming the word's rick house, right? In Midway?
Barrel house.
Barrel house, okay.
Barrel house and distillery.
Okay.
Basically, we bought a farm in Midway right off the interstate there called Elkwood Farm. That's where the name Elkwood Reserve comes from. It's on the National Historic Register, and it was just an agricultural piece of land that we basically renovated a historic home. You guys should definitely come out sometime and visit.
Awesome.
Renovated a historic home where we start our tours from, and then built a distillery just a short walk away from that home. And then down on the other side of the property, we've built our first barrel house where we're aging all of our barrels. So the distillery, we have a 36-inch column still. We're distilling there 5 days a week right now. And then we're doing tours 7 days a week. So people are coming by and walking through the property and walking through the distillery and tasting some of.
Now, are you guys part of the Bourbon Trail experience?
Yes, we are on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
Yeah.
And we're right down the street from Buffalo Trace and Woodford Reserve. So we're in a good location for that.
Great location for that. Now, Ben, I'm told that as of October 2025, that the numbers for the Kentucky Bourbon Trail are pretty down. It must be the political climate and that type of thing. We're not getting the international travel that we used to get. Are you guys seeing that?
Somewhat, yeah. So some of the trends that we've seen lately are based upon some of the highs that occurred post-COVID. There was a surge of both purchasing, bourbon, tourism, and that's pulled back a little. It's still higher than the pre-COVID numbers.
Got it.
But some of those trends that you're reading about are a relative, if you look at a 3-year, sliding scale. For us, September and October have been great, in part due to Keeneland and all the people coming into town to really get the best of Kentucky. We've been very busy past couple months. So.
Now, when they come, do they typically go and spend money on bottles like this in your gift shop and do the tours? Is that kind of how that works?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So our tour, you get to taste 4 of our products, and you can actually fill your own bottle from a barrel if you'd like. And then we have a bar, tasting room at the end of the tour where you can have a cocktail, and a gift shop where you can purchase, some of the bourbons you just tasted. So they can experience it all.
Yeah, I tell you, as someone, I'm not a drinker, but someone who's been a part of a few of these tours, there's nothing like it. I mean, even like putting and I'm not exactly sure, maybe Ben, you can tell us, but even taking the bourbon out of the barrel and how you use a certain tool to put it in the bottles, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a neat experience, and I encourage everybody to go do.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, for someone that has not seen the process, and at a place like our distillery in Midway, we're growing the corn on property. We're harvesting it, we're storing it, we're milling it, we're turning it into mash, we're fermenting it, we're distilling it. then we're storing it, then we're serving it. So like the grain to glass thing that people talk about, you can actually experience there and you see every step of the process.
Okay.
Because it from the grain to consuming it as each product, it never leaves our property, which is cool. So you understand it from grain to glass.
Yeah,
you see how it happens.
That is cool. Explain to me what the blue corn is.
So the blue corn is an heirloom grain. It's literally, if you've had blue corn chips.
Okay.
It's that purplish blue corn.
Yeah.
And so years ago, maybe 8 years ago, we were experimenting with different types of corn. We were actually doing a collaboration with the University of Kentucky's Beam Institute. At that point, it was just the Chem-E department.
Right.
Just trying out different types of corn, flaked corn, red corn, blue corn, just seeing how that affects the flavor of the distillate coming off the still. And the blue corn we found had a very distinct nutty flavor, more complex, straight off the still than some of the equivalent yellow corn mash bills. Yeah. So we've been distilling that for years, and we find that it just imparts a little less sweet, a little more nutty and complex flavor on the distillate, which then imparts that into your finished product. So it's a unique experience, and if you've ever seen the blue corn being mashed, it's this bright purple color. It's really really cool.
Now, are you guys the only ones that use that blue corn, or do you know of anybody else doing that?
There are some other distilleries in the country that are doing it. We're not the only ones, but we've got some really good aged blue corn bourbon.
I love it.
Horse Races Now, the app to follow horse racing at over 1,200 tracks worldwide. View entries and results. Get notifications on your favorite horses, jockeys, trainers, racetracks, and owners. Users set up and revise notifications like live video at the gate, call to post, entries, results replays, etc.
All right, Joe, back to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. Where does you mentioned earlier that it's all kind of basically donations. Who are the type of people that are donating to your fund?
Well, in 2024, we had over 1,700 unique donors. That's everything from a large racetrack company, say Churchill Downs, to some young man that sent us $10.
Yeah, sure.
He scooped up out of his change drawer, their piggy bank. So the profile is very difficult to pinpoint, but race fans, jockey fans, and people that just recognize that it's an underserved group, and just generous people. I mean, I don't know if I could put a particular face on it because they come in so many shapes and sizes.
Well, Joe, expand on that just a little bit, though. So you mentioned that the people that understand that it's an underserved group. I don't know that I would have understood that. Mm-hmm. You made like Churchill Downs and Keeneland. I would think that they would give you as much money as you would need for something like this, but apparently not.
Well, they're quite generous.
Okay.
And those that sponsor our events and attend our events are also quite generous. From time to time, we get alerted of a bequest that we didn't even know it was coming, as I mentioned to you off air.
That's pretty cool.
Got a call that we'll be receiving a $300,000 wire.
That's awesome.
Someone that put this in their will 16 years ago.
Yeah, that's so cool.
No idea what this person's connection was to racing or jockeys. And neither did her executor or attorney.
Wow.
But here we are.
Yeah.
You just never know what's in people's hearts.
That's really, really cool. When you talk about events, what type of events do you do? Are these events that people can get involved in?
Oh, of course. We have our annual jockey karaoke, East Coast, West Coast battle. One is in Saratoga. The other event is in Del Mar. They're about a week to 10 days apart.
That seems fascinating to me. Can any of them sing, Joe?
Next question.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, in actuality, yes, they can.
I'm thinking of we just did a podcast with Jose Ortiz, and I just can't imagine him up there karaoke. But I'd love to see it. I could tell you that.
He does it.
It'd be fun. Does he? I see.
Yes,
that's fantastic. I love that. That's so cool. All right, gentlemen. So let's talk about this particular bottle again. Now, Ben, I think Brian Hernandez and Kenny are both going to sign them all, right?
Correct. So they will sign 200 of these bottles. The first 200 being released. Those will be available out of the Midway Distillery location.
So you're going to have to go there to buy them.
Correct. Well, for the initial releases, but they'll also be available online at bluegrassdistillers.com. We're selling them through bourbonoutfitters.com, which can basically send to 46 states.
Okay.
So if you follow Kenny's socials or any of these, we'll be sure to promote via some press releases next. Well, I guess by the time this airs, it'll be this week.
Well, and I'll try to make sure that the links are with this episode, whether you watch on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. That way, if you are so inclined, you can go visit the link.
Perfect.
How much, and maybe I shouldn't ask this, but how much of the proceeds are going to go to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund?
So half of all the proceeds will go.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, we left it up to Kenny, and he said, yeah, this is where I want it to go. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, we're
so cool.
We're very excited about it, and we just want people to spread the word and spread the word of the good work that you guys are doing.
And we're so proud to be part of initiatives like this, especially with two of the stars of our game.
Right.
Brian, beloved in the jockey community as well as by the fans. Kenny.
Yep.
His status speaks for itself. It couldn't be two better ambassadors to support us and to help us get the word out. We love the bottle's beautiful.
Yeah.
So there's really no downside for us. We're very excited to be part of it.
Joe, how about someone that maybe has listened today and wants to donate to your fund? How could they do that?
They could go to PDJF.org. That's PDJF as in Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund.org, and make a donation.
I love it. Gentlemen, anything else before we get out of here? Anything we need to hit on that I forgot to ask you guys?
I think you hit the high point.
Okay.
I think we covered
Well, I can't thank you guys enough for coming all the way here to be with us today, be in studio. Such a cool episode. So, and I have a feeling these things are going to go quick. So, Ben, you better save a couple because these are going to go fast, especially when we get these signatures of Kenny and Brian on it. But thank you for listening to this episode of Horse Races Now. Do us a favor, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, maybe give us a nice comment. That goes a long way as far as getting future new listeners to listen. And once again, see you at the races. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.